The whole country of Israel is in danger. The country of Israel is in danger. We have Arabs, we have Persians, we have Turks, we have all kinds of people wanting to eat us up as soon as they can. For them it is, or they say it, for them they seem to make it a kind of religious obligation, a compulsion. Or so many peoples throughout the earth are against the state of Israel. They are prejudiced against us. They cannot deny they are prejudiced against us. They claim it is because we are protecting it ourselves by killing our adversaries, by killing a few Arab terrorists here and there. They say we are doing this excessively. They don't complain about the millions who are killed in Africa, in the Sudan, about the people in China, the Muslims in China who were placed in concentration camps and oppressed. All over the earth, there are more groups being persecuted and damaged and maliciously harmed than there are Palestinians in existence. But if you would judge by the media, would think only the Palestinians were the ones being affected. The fellow Palestinians asked for it. They attacked the Israelites. From the beginning of their time they have been here, they've been attacking Jews whenever they can. They will attack the Jews, and they will, at times when the mania takes hold of them, they will also sacrifice themselves to do it. They are crazy, or they are borderline crazy. And they are liable to rape, to torture all of us and our children at any day now, any time they can. And they've done it in the past, and they will do it in the future, God forbid, if they're ever able to. We've seen a little of what they are prepared to do, and that is nothing to what they will do once they are able to. So that is the reality that we are faced with. What is the alternative? What alternative do we have? Israel needs to protect itself. We need to protect ourselves. And the defense can be backward, that is fighting for our houses, for our homes with our backs to the door, or forward, making them fight with their houses and their homes with their backs to the door. And we have a historical justification for taking an assertive, aggressive role in this matter. The question has arisen, should every able-bodied person in Israel, male and female, be conscripted into the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces? Or should it be only the males and only part of the females, as it is at present? What are the alternatives? What is the present situation? Why do the Haredi refuse to play their part, to take up arms and defend the country like everyone else? What is the reality? Do the secular Israeli powers be that rule the country, or have a disproportionate influence over what goes on in the country? Do they have an agenda of their own? Are they pushing their agenda at the expense of all of us? So we'll try and answer a few of these questions, and also others will be raised in the course of this talk. And we're raising issues of importance and of interest. And things may be learned from this talk that are applicable in other areas, not only in Israel, but throughout the world. So first of all, the IDF, the Israelite Defense Forces, comprised by Israelis from all ranks of society. And attempts are made to homogenize the product, to make everyone to some degree or other come closer to the other, to homogenize the entire population. Nevertheless, by way of the powers that be, the way of the juggling out of different pressures and different sections of the IDF, you get different elements dominate. Some sections you get a lot of kibbutzim, in other sections you get a lot of people from the cities, from the townships. Another section you also get groups, interest groups, a lot of feminists, lady feminists, women, and men pushing women causes, and homosexuals, and others. And some of these elements are more concerned with pushing their own agenda than with defense in general. Perhaps without these groups, the IDF would be more proficient. Maybe they are holding us back. Maybe there are too many Davidiys in high places. These are all questions worth answering and worth considering. Also the Haredim are meaning the ultra-Orthodox Jews, the ultra-observant Jews, also do not serve on the whole. They say they have a commandment to learn Torah. The fact is, if they do not learn, very few others will. And they keep the others going. By virtue of their learning, the others also learn more than they otherwise would. So by virtue of their learning, divine providence is more likely to extend its protection over the whole country. We survive by miracles. Every day, more and more miracles happen. The state of Israel survives by miracles. And should the Haredim serve and dilute their own uniqueness, should the Haredim serve and dilute their own uniqueness, allow themselves to be taken over by the others? Are they allowed to? There's no clear-cut answer, but the impression is that the weight of consideration is on their side. But it is not simple, and it's worth considering as many factors as possible. Thanks to the IDF, Israel has up to until now won all its wars. All the wars of Israel have been won thanks to the IDF. The IDF at present is suffering from a genuine manpower shortage. They haven't got enough people. Well, they haven't got enough people according to how they are so structured. According to their present structure, they need more people. If they would structure themselves differently, perhaps they would not need so many people. But you live with what you have. According to how the IDF sees itself and arranges itself, it needs more people. The IDF relies heavily on its reserve forces. What are reserve forces? You have ordinary soldiers. From the age of 17, Israelis can join the IDF. From the age of 18, they are obliged to do so. They may defer it for a couple of years to learn or do other things, but on the whole, most of them join up at about 18 years. And after they've fulfilled their 3 years of service, or however long they have to serve, they are placed in the reserves. And in the reserves, they have their work. They have civilian occupations, and they raise families. And they're expected, on the average, they're expected to serve about maybe a month a year. 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there. At least that was my experience. There are some who serve much more, and others who serve much less. It varies from time to time and from place to place. Also, at present, the situation is much different than it was in the past, and the IDF is more desperate to increase its manpower, so they are serving more. And they get paid. They get paid according to how much they earn in civilian life. And all those who once served in the army as soldiers are expected now to re-register with the IDF units to serve when called upon. and they will be paid according to what they earn in civilian life. Practice, it does not always work out that way. There are problems and there are irregularities, but nevertheless, that is in general how the situation is supposed to work. Also, nowadays, many of the reservists do not answering the summons to turn up. They're not expected to. Usually the number called out is in excess of the numbers needed. It also happens that more soldiers turn up than are expected. That is a rare phenomenon nowadays, but it has happened. And the IDF at all events, as it sees itself, it needs more people than it's getting. Religious Jews, those who learn in yeshivot or in religious Jews, those who learn in yeshivot or in similar arrangements, similar organizations who learn full time, in principle they are exempt from service. Regular Israelis, the average Israeli, on the whole, accepts this situation. Sometimes willingly, some reluctantly, but on the whole, they accept it. There are those who do not. Also, among those learning, there are those who are not really learning. They are doing other things, but somehow or other they are attached to those who do learn. And those who do learn, on the whole, learn well. This cannot be denied, that on the whole, those who learn well, and are genuinely motivated, but every case is an individual consideration. There are those who learn well for a while, and then lag off, drop off, and those who learn well all the time and go from strength to strength. Apart from that, we also have national religious Jews. National religious Jews are usually those with the knitted kippah, and they serve. In some cases, they also learn. And they make the best frontline soldiers on the average in general. The best frontline soldiers the IDF has. They comprise about 40% of the frontline troops, because other soldiers who are not national religious do not volunteer to be in the front line as they do. And also the national religious nowadays, they comprise more than 50% or close to 50% of the younger officers in the IDF. And they are genuine patriots, and their service helps save the country. The religious observation sometimes suffers, sometimes it often suffers. Also, elements within the IDF, despite denials, in some cases work to diminish their religiosity. The IDF consciously or subconsciously works to produce some type of average Israeli who's neither too religious nor too secular. And there is this process. People like this who are against learning do exist in the IDF. But more importantly than those who consciously work against the practice of religion within the IDF is the objective reality. The objective reality mitigates against being both religious and serving in the IDF. We have female soldiers. Female soldiers are very good, sometimes very good. They're also attractive, interesting, good to talk to. And there are specialized tasks at which the women are better or just as good. And they exist. They are everywhere, almost everywhere. And the elements in Israeli society are constantly pushing to increase the involvement of females in the military. that they should take over more and more tasks. They should serve in tanks, that they should, and so on. And ideological considerations are the prime motivations behind these demands, behind these pressures, behind the increased feminization in military ranks. Women who wish not to serve for religious or other reasons do not really have to. About 1/3 of all eligible females use this exemption clause. So that is what we are faced with. Jewish religious sources speak of these matters. The opinion is held that for every full-time soldier, there should be one Talmudic scholar exempt from service. That is an opinion found in the Talmud. In biblical times, the tribe of Levi was exempt from serving with the rest of the tribes, exempt from serving in general, but he performed another type of service, an auxiliary type of service, and an auxiliary type of service, and also took care of religious matters. Every other Israelite between the ages of 20 to 60 was liable to be called up in biblical times and to serve in the forces of the Almighty against the enemies. In biblical terms, females should not serve whatsoever. And those who are exempt should include those who do not learn or no longer learn, but belong to the community of Torah learned. Just like every other segment of the society, you get those who do things and those who tag along, but also contribute in their own way. And the ultra-Orthodox need these others, and those others need to be with the ultra-Orthodox. There's fiction over this matter, but that is reality. No woman whatsoever should serve in the armed service. Everyone who serves should be of frontline preparedness, but exceptions are allowed. The overall effectiveness of those actually serving should be the main point that is emphasized. And it should increase many times over in the long run. There's much that could be done, that should be done, and there's much that can be improved upon. One of the sources that are used to justify the exemption of religious ultra-Orthodox Jews from serving is from Maimonides, 1138-1204, in the laws of Shemitah and Yovel. And he says that why did Levi not merit an inheritance in the land of Israel and its spoils, together with his brothers? Because he was set apart to serve the Lord, to minister to him, and to teach his straight ways and his righteous laws to the public, and so on. It is quite expressly said it is forbidden, that there is a reason for it. There are some religious Jews who, from the national religious grouping, who say this is not true or not applicable, but the balance of opinion is against them. The balance of orthodox written opinion is against them. But it is also not worth noting that even in biblical times and in Jewish historical times, there were groups, even from Kohanim, who did serve in the army. Benayahu, the son of Yehoiada, was a Kohen from the tribe of Levi and was a commander of the army of King Solomon. So he did serve. So sometimes the Levites did serve. But the general ruling still exists. Should also mention a fact that is not given much publicity, but problems occur with the females who serve in the army. Gynecological problems happen. We have what is called uterine prolapse in English. In Hebrew, it is referred to as collapse of the womb. The womb of a woman, it collapses. When a woman can collapse, is in danger of collapsing when a woman overexerts herself physically, when she gives heavy loads, when she exists under pressure, under heavy physical pressure, such as may happen in the military framework, which does happen. A lot of girl soldiers, or a significant number, one could say, a significant number of girl soldiers suffer from this collapse of the womb, which usually occurs under normal situations only to women after menopause, after they've ceased to give birth. When they get older, they cannot work so hard, and when they try and work physically more than they should, their womb collapses. So this also happens to young girls just out of the army, due to the experience that happened to them in the army. And this causes severe problems with fertility. So the future generations suffer because of this. We need more Jews in the world. We need women to give birth to them. And that should be the priority for everyone. Thank you. May the Lord God of Israel bless you.